It's time for another Dice Tower review with the Chief, Bart Brunsheen.
It's the Chief from the Dice Tower, and today we're going to be reviewing a Columbia Games called Eastfront. It's the second edition. With me is Judd Vance. He is my wargaming, or one of my wargaming partners, and I'll talk a little bit more about that when we come back, but let's go ahead and go in and take a closer look at Eastfront Columbia Games, the Russian front. All right, the first thing we're going to do is kind of an unboxing, just so you can see the differences. The quality is still good, it's just a little bit different, so I wanted to show you guys kind of what I'm talking about for those that don't know. First, it's nice artwork on the front. It's got the slip cover, so your slip cover is just going to come off. You've got this like hard cardboard box, Columbia Games. Now you open it up. Now this is great. You've got tons of blocks. Anybody that's played a block game, all right, you know how nice this is. Now you got to put stickers on each one of these, but blocks are so tactile and so fun and so easy to play with that I mean, as long as you don't mind putting your own stickers on. I sure don't, but you can see how many you're going to get in here. Very weighty. We got just a few kind of old style cardboard counters that are just going to help you with your play. River Assaults, just showing River Assaults a little bit harder, and you can only bring so many units across one hex side on a river. So these are their blitz counters, just to show you kind of in game while you're doing, help with the housekeeping. You've got some setup cards, very easy setup cards, help you get your units going. This takes the longest for me. I'm always trying to sort them out, figure out, you know, I'm laying them on the card. Before Judd comes over, I'll usually pull these out and have them all set up and ready to go. You got your turn marker here, production, very nice, unmounted, just like a thick paper. It's kind of a light cardstock. So, very good. All right, here's the maps. I like these maps. These maps are great. The hexagons comes with two separate ones. Here, let me just show you the first one first. These will end up going together. They're very big, and as you can see, the hexagons are large enough to fit plenty of the blocks in. So you're not going to run into too many problems with that. It gets a little crowded, but there's room. You can see the thickness isn't quite there. These aren't mounted, but they are very thick paper. And they're very big. So when I played, of course, I had a piece of plexiglass. You can bend them out. I forget what they call it, but you can kind of bend them over a little bit and they'll stay flat. I like to use plexiglass. So you can see here, we've got Romania. You got your large Black Sea, Turkey, all that. We'll get this out of the way for now. You can see we've got Eurofront here. And the other portion of the map. So, all right, this would be the top portion of it. Whenever I play it, I actually end up putting it on the table like so, otherwise I can't fit it all on my table. So let me kind of pan up and over so you can see what we've got going on here. All right. And what I'm going to do is just pull this top section in, kind of show you it's got Leningrad on it and some of the different areas. That's the only other thing too, I got to tell you. My Russian geography, horrible. Okay, the first thing I wanted to show you was the HQ units. Your headquarters units are huge in this game. They are what allow you to activate and move units. First, let me show you the difference. This is a Supreme headquarters or Supreme HQ. You each have one of these. Combat value is this area over here that shows the 3 on it. And it is allowed to activate anywhere on the map or to make 2 activations per combat value anywhere on the map. So in its perfectly pristine state, it would be able to activate 6 units. As they use those at the end of the round, they'll actually turn so it'll go down to 2. Now at the very end of that game turn, you have the ability to, it's like reinforcements or rest and recuperate. Yeah, you have the ability to move it right back up, but those are the same kind of points that you're going to be using to get combat units back up to full strength. So you're always balancing the difficulties of headquarters and command and control of large military units. I really like the system. You bring in these little smaller headquarters. This one is actually for Army Group South. So it's the generals that are in charge of the entire Army Group South. And what happens is wherever you have your headquarters stationed, these are a little bit more limiting because they can only extend their headquarters a number of hexes based on their combat value. So this Army Group South headquarters unit at its pristine strength can extend its command and control 3 hexes away from itself. So it would be able to extend to units all the way over in this location and allow you to activate them, have combat, move them, do whatever. So you can see the sphere of control of a unit that's got its full combat value, a headquarters unit, is much greater. Now, as he spends those, his command and control starts to shrink. He'll go down to 2. So now he can only send out to 2 hexes. If you don't refill them or you're not able to, now you're down to just 1. And then you get down to just those in your hex. And you do never want to deplete them fully. I mean, I guess if you're under attack and you got to do it, you got to do it. These are very expensive to recreate. It's much cheaper to just bump them back up. Headquarters roles are very unique in how they work too. So after your commanding movement, your active HQs may be used in either a mobile or a combat role. Units that are without combat support fight at half their effectiveness. So it's very important to have a combat HQ in play, but you got to keep your unit moving on occasion too, or you might need them somewhere else. There's some other things with HQs, but I think you kind of got the flavor of it. This game, your headquarters and your supply, which I'll get into later, are huge aspects of the game. All right, I brought on other units. This is going to be an armor unit. You got a mechanized unit, and you got an infantry unit. Same going here now. Just to explain the sequence of fire in a combat round, if these 2 different units were going to be going at each other, you're going to have the active player gets to execute any airstrikes, if any, that they use their headquarters for, and the losses will be applied. So they can come in with an airstrike and do some damage before they even get into the fight. The passive unit, which is the non-active player, gets to do their defensive. Attacking player will take the losses, and then at that point, the active player will get to go ahead and do their roll-offs and try to do damage to the defender. The defender's units would then be moved back upright, and that would signal the end of that combat round for that battle. So you can keep track of that as you're moving down, because you're going to have multiple hexes that are going to be in combat. Combat's very simple. The first thing you're going to do is if this armor unit is attacking, you're going to look at his combat value. That's a 4. That means he's going to get to roll 4 dice. All right, then you're going to go look on a chart, and you're going to see what his firepower is, and armor has double firepower. That means that if you roll your dice and you get a 5 or a 6, you're going to get hits. So if I'd rolled these dice, I would have had 3 hits and I would have had 1 miss. They would be, the defender would then apply those to his units, and he has to apply it to his stronger unit first. So you can see when I go down to my mech unit here, when he goes, he's only going to get to roll 2 dice. A mech unit has single fire when it's in attack. Now, when it's in defense, it has double fire. So it's a very nice thing on a mechanized unit. But since we're attacking, you got a 4 and a 1, that would be a miss. You only had single fire, needed to get a 6. We go down to our infantry unit. The infantry unit's going to get 4 dice, but he's only going to get single fire. So he's got to roll 6s. And I got no 6s. So the only unit that hit was my armor. That would be the end of the combat. Combat's that fast. You can resolve it that quickly. It's very nice, very effective. The only thing I had to get used to was that the combat value tells you how many dice you roll, and you look at a chart to see, although after a while you kind of know that armor fires at double firepower, and it's a 5 and a 6. So it's not hard, just something to get used to, and it's that simple. All right, the last thing to point out is that in Eastfront, supply is huge. It was huge in real life, and it's huge here. These little red dash lines are rail lines, and for a unit to be supplied or to be in supply, it must be able to trace a supply line to a friendly either rail or sea supply area. And units that can't do that are considered unsupplied. Now that's huge because each friendly unit that is not insupplied or is unsupplied will immediately lose 1 step of their combat value. So if these guys were out of supply, even if all my attacks had missed, they would all immediately go down on 1 of their combat values. This unit would even be out. So you can see the game in many ways is more about movement, which is just what it was in the real world. It's not just about the battle that's going on, it's about battle that means something. You need to encircle or cut off or use pincer movements in order to kill the enemy, or in order to come in and destroy him. That's hard for me. I'm more of a small tactics guy, and it's interesting to get your head wrapped around how you're going to move, and is it best to, make a deep slash into enemy territory? You risk getting cut off yourself, but boy, if you can encircle or even take out some supply lines, it's awesome. Now there's a sphere of control around a unit, and that gets a little complex. Just know that you want to keep your units in supply, and if you're attacking, you want to cut your enemy's supply line and really try to get at him. And that is where I've shown you how headquarters factors in and how important they are, the attack itself, and then your ultimate goal of cutting off supply. And let's be honest, World War II, it was won and lost on the Eastern Front. And this game is just perfect in how it models that. And supply, headquarters, reinforcements, and movement. So, all right, that's enough of me and looking at this map. Let's pull on out of here. All right, we're back. The one thing I want to say before we get into kind of the details of the game on what I liked or maybe what I didn't, production value, just a little bit different from what I'm used to. Rule book is perfect, very well written, but it's all black and white. We actually downloaded some stuff to get some color and to just have an extra copy as we were both referring. So Judd, just from a wargaming standpoint, I've come from more of it's not as strong a background in wargaming. What do you have to say about the game?
Well, with the block system, I always like the fog of war. You never really know what you're going up against. They all look identical. It could be a 1-strength unit, it could be a 4-strength unit, it could be armor, it could be infantry. You shuffle them around, and it gives you that real fog of war like you'd have in a real battle that you don't know what the enemy really has. Mm-hmm. And the defender fires first. I always like that, and Columbia always customizes their games. A lot of the core rules are a lot of similar.
The thing to talk about with Eastfront is it's about a 6-hour game, and Judd and I both have kids, family, so Judd is, can I call you an expert on Vassal? All right, he's an expert on Vassal, which is an online, well, you explain.
Well, it's a way to play your games online. It's electronically. If one person owns the game, then it's legal to play it. And there's 2 ways of playing. You can either get on live and play head-to-head just like you do here, which if you're in a town or area without a lot of war gamers, it's a way to actually get your games in. It doesn't really work for me because I have such small windows after family commitments that I don't really have 6 hours to dedicate to a game. So I do a system called play by email. You send your play, and what happens? It records your play while you're moving pieces, rolling dice, and then you save that log file, and then you send it off to the other person. They open it up, they review it, then they open the next log file. It saves it at that spot, and then they make their moves and send it back and forth. You can play games, for the course of months if they're long enough. And this one is one that really works well in Vassal, because when it's your turn, you flip your headquarters, you move all your guys, you move them into the section. If you're going to use an air attack, which comes first, you can go on and roll it. Or you can just say flip your stuff over and let me see it before I declare my air. But otherwise, if you're not using the air attacks, you can just send it right to the person. They'll flip their blocks over, roll up the damage. There's no choices about, well, let's see, I need to send it back to you and see which one. It always comes off the strongest unit. And if you're playing another guy, you can usually make assumptions. There's an infantry and armor, you want it to come off the infantry. So it makes this game really vassal-friendly to play.
I will say, I've used Vassal a long time ago. I used it to just do the direct play, and it was before I had kids, so I had time. It was just there were some people I wanted to play that were out of state. I never played using a continual log file or doing this by email. Learning this game, we met and kind of played through the Edelweiss scenario, which is a teaching scenario, and then we kind of, we tried to do everything over Basil. It didn't work for me. He's a genius, but I couldn't pick it up and play at the same time. I had too many questions as I worked through. So, two seasoned players that also understand more of the complexities with Basil, I think it's perfect. For me, we had to get back in and sit down together because I had so many little tiny questions along the way. Or I'd even do a move and he'd say, you're coming across a river, you can only do one per hex side. Little stuff like that just wasn't going to quite do it for play by email because I would have messed it up so bad. So I love the aspect, and we gave it, I gave it the old college try, but we had to sit down and do it head to head. But I could see it definitely working for those that know Vassal or know this. Perfect way to do it. So it was very handy, and Judd will always compare, is it available for Vassal? This is. The whole Euro front is what you actually use for this. And then how well is it implemented with Vassal? You can cover that as well. And I actually felt like it was just like the game. Matter of fact, it was faster. The setup was very much faster. And that's about it. So, all right. Thanks, guys. Judd Vance and the Chief from the Dice Tower. See you.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find the latest board game news at Dicetowernews.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Fun Again Games, the world's best game source. Fun Again Games has over 5,000 games available. Check them out at funagain.com.